Welcome back to Story Time as we celebrate Black History Month all month long. This is a beautiful story called So Tall Within, and it's a sovereign truth's long walk towards freedom. So it talks a little bit about history of our Black brothers and sisters and what they had to endure in their lifetime. So thanks so much for joining me here tonight. Hola comunidad de Greenfield, soy Superintendent Galvan, leyendo más historias con ustedes, y este mes de celebrando africanos americanos, y celebramos con una historia de recordar la historia de nuestros hermanos, hermanas de África. So, gracias por estar aquí para que podamos aprender juntos. All right, here we go. Isabella, in slavery time when hope was a seed waiting to be planted, Isabella lived in a cellar where the windows never let the sun in and thousands never kept the water out. She had 10 or 12 brothers and sisters. She couldn't be sure since almost all of them were sold as slaves before she was old enough to remember. But Mama Bet, her mother, kept them in memory. Sometimes at night, she held Isabella and pointed to the skies over New York State. Those are the same stars, and that's the same moon that looked down upon your brothers and sisters, she would tell her. In slavery time, when happiness was a dream that never came true, Isabella was put to work. Now the war begun, she thought. First, she worked for Mr. Neely, who figured she didn't need shoes in wintertime. 2 years later, she worked for Mr. Schroyer, who had her carry fish and dig roots and tend herbs and tons of gallons of dark molasses. A year and a half after that, she worked for Mr. Dumont, who bragged that Isabella could do a good family's washing in the night. So those were the chores that a slave would have to do. But sometimes she looked up to those stars and that moon and she asked God if he thought it was right. In slavery time, when respect fell as often as snow in July, Mr. Dumont ordered Isabella to marry a slave named Thomas. She had 5 children, James, Diana, Peter, Elizabeth, and Sophia. In slavery time, when promises were thin as old smoke, Mr. Dumont swore that if she would do well, he would free Isabella and give her a log cabin to live in the summer, a year before all the slaves in New York State had to be freed by law. Isabella asked Isaac and Maria if they were her new masters, which were 2 individuals. Isaac shook his head. He was a master to no one, he said, and now Isabella was a slave to no one. He let her go free. But in slavery time, broken promises were like leaves on a tree. Mr. Dumont sold Isabella's 5-year-old son, Peter, to Mr. Guidry, who sent him down south. Though Isabella could not read or write, she knew that in New York, where they lived, no slave could be sold outside the state's borders. Isabella, on foot and alone, went to the Dumont house and knocked on the door. Hard, and when it opened, she said, "I'll have my child." And he said, "Make no fuss." And she said, "I must have my child." To have enough of everything and to be treated like a gentleman, she said, Mr. Godfrey said. And Miss Isabella knew that was a lie. "My boy has gone as a slave and he is too little to go far from his mother. Give him back." After a few months, Isabella held Peter again. But the Alabama masters had whipped Peter and kicked him and beat him, and he would never be the same. That was slavery. Perhaps that was the moment Isabella knew she had a journey to make under those stars and that moon. It would be a journey, a sojourn journey, to tell the truth about slavery, and maybe then slavery could come to an end. In freedom time, when hope kindled in fire in the dark and happiness winked over the horizon, Sojourn Truth told an audience in Massachusetts, "Children, I have come here, like the rest of you, to hear what I have to say." And what she had to say was plenty. She spoke of a woman's right to vote. She spoke about making prisons more humane. She asked the government to offer land to former slaves. She spoke against capital punishment. For almost 15 years, more years, she walked thousands of miles to Philadelphia and to Brooklyn and to Washington, D.C., and she spoke about freedom. In freedom time, when respect wanted to show its face and broken promises tried to mend, Sojourn Truth walked to Battle Creek, Michigan, where she lived with her free daughters and her free grandchildren. And Sojourner Truth was weary and ready to lay down forever. In freedom time when chains broke and words got up to sing, and tiredness, oh tiredness, danced a hallelujah. Sojourner Truth asked herself, what is anybody in the world for? Then she looked up at those same stars and that same moon, and she saw them shining in everyone, over everyone. And she knew what she had been in the world for. I have work to do, she thought. My lost time that I lost being a slave was now made up. And that's the end. So Sojourner Truth is her name because she worked so hard to free slaves during the time when it was a really bad time in America. And so this story is to celebrate Black History Month, so we don't forget where we've come, so that we continue to do better every single day. Thanks so much for joining me here tonight. I'm Superintendent Galvan with the Greenfield School District, sending a great big bear hug from our family to yours.